So let's talk about, before we even started recording, we were talking about your weekend, about the new bike. Which bike was it? What's the size? What was the motor? Can you tell us about it and tell us about the weekend and where you guys went riding?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I'm loaning a Suzuki V-Strom 1050 XT. So I just have to put it through its paces, kind of test it out, write some pieces on it as a long-term loaner and whatnot. So this weekend, taking advantage of the bike as much as I possibly can, took my lady up to Angeles Crest Highway. For those that don't know, it's a great canyon carving area for motorcyclists in the Southern California region. And we just took it really easy. I probably didn't get over like 60, was mostly actually loping around in like 45-ish, in third gear, just hanging out. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was sunny. And then, with her and I, we have typically ridden on Harleys up to this point, in any of our long touring, jaunts and whatnot. We've gone up to Yosemite. We've done Big Sur, a bunch of different California touristy areas and whatnot, mostly camping off of the bike and everything. Up to this point, she's kind of started to taper off in terms of her involvement on the motorcycle, just because I've kind of amped it up for performance, and that doesn't really help out on smooth riding for her purposes. So getting back onto an adventure bike that's much more smooth, way better weight distribution, just super compliant suspension. She was loving it.
And
so,
even purely the seat also is really, really good for a passenger, right?
Yeah, completely. She was saying, that when we went over bumps, she was comparing it more to a car than being on a motorcycle, just because, the small travel that you get on a Harley, sends a lot of that shock up through your back, if not also the passenger's back, which it was usually doing for her. On that adventure bike, she was saying instead of going into my back, it goes into the bike. So she was really good at like diagnosing, a lot of those, things that were different between the Harley and, an adventure bike for the passenger's perspective. So, yeah.
Does she have a preference on the Harleys of exhaust? Because my experience is some exhaust are shorter, some are longer. The ones that are shorter usually blast the passenger's ears a lot more. Has she ever told you, I like this exhaust more than the other one, or I hate this one because of the exhaust?
Yeah, completely. So when we first picked up the bike, stock, you guys know how stock Harleys come. They're just terrible. Completely clogged up. She actually used to call that thing the Cream Dream, just because it was way smoother than my Sportster. I had short shots on my Sportster too, so they were loud as shit.
Oh shit.
And yeah, exactly.
Do you not like her?
And so
no, I'm kidding.
Dude, oh man, she's gone through the ringer with my motorcycles. We used to call the little pad on my Sportster that she would ride on. I had like a bobber seat, just a single seat, and then I had this little strip that was pad. Just leather and a little bit of pad, and we used to call that thing the maxi pad because it was so thin.
So she's a trooper. She's a trooper, man. She's a trooper.
She's a fucking trooper. Yeah, we've gone all the way to Anza Borrego or Borrego Springs on that thing, and so yeah, she's put in her miles for sure. And I think now that she's started to taste the better life, she's kind of gotten over those first Harley days and the fun of being on a death trap.
So you picked
going
up,
back to your question.
You picked up the Suzuki last Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So since last Wednesday, how many times has he asked you to change your bike?
Has she asked me?
Yeah, to change your bike to a more comfortable one that she can sit on and feel the bumps like in the car.
Yeah, what's her opinion?
Yeah,
Does she like it, or she's totally against it, or she likes the way it looks but doesn't rides, or what's her opinion?
She loves the way it rides. So she has a much more like classic aesthetic, which is why we gravitated more toward the cruisers. I'm sure you guys can relate too. We all came up kind of on cruisers and whatnot, and they just have that like classic look. But I was telling her recently and a few other buddies, like I think you get to a point in your motorcycling like journey where you stop caring as much about, what a bike makes you look like, and you care much more about how a bike makes you feel.
Yeah.
And when you're on those other machines, when you're on an adventure bike, when I'm on a dirt bike, when I'm on my supermoto, that shit is just fun. It's just way more fun than I can actually have on a Harley. And don't get me wrong, Harleys are fun in their own brand. They have that torque. You cannot replicate that torque that they give in that, low down pull. But I think you guys spoke about it in previous podcasts, just diversifying your experiences on a bike, just helps in every way. It makes you a better rider. Gives you more experiences. So, I'm trying as much as I can to, branch out into everything. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And there's a saying that they say for Harleys, they say, torque is for the go, horsepower is for show.
Right.
And Harley has nailed that torque. And that's why, a lot of people have, you'll see a 300-pound dude with his girl in the back, saddlebags all full, riding a Sturgis doing 500 miles a day, for 3 days, and the bikes pull and they handle that. But every bike, nobody should limit anybody to any one bike. You should have different choices. You should ride dirt bikes. You should ride adventure bikes. And it's funny because everybody does go for Harleys because of the lifestyle and the way it looks and how cool you feel and everything about it. Do you do?
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, that's what I think got me into it as well. And I'm sure you guys, relate on a bunch of these points too. It's that lifestyle, and it's more of like a culture than anything. They sell you on like an idea, for sure. And, I still love that brand, and I still love my Harley, and just riding on it. It's just it's that tractor pull, it's such a different pull. I love that you said, that 300-pound guy and his lady, because it can do that. It doesn't mind,
And not at all. I remember, like on the adventure bikes, you have to, it's recommended that you stand on your foot peg and then climb over and hop onto your bike. On Harley, I never knew the capabilities of standing on the floorboards, like on a touring bike, to stand on it and get over, until I saw this guy that weighed about over 400 pounds. And he stood on his, floorboard and climbed right over. And it's just amazing the beatings that Harleys can't take.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
So right now, how would you describe to people or to the listeners about what you do and what you're known for?
And who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm probably known by anyone, that follows me on Instagram as Free Wheelen. It's more or less, I just started taking pictures of classic bikes. Being in the Harley culture, you go to a bunch of shows and you see a bunch of knuckleheads, shovelheads, and panheads. So I just started taking pictures of that, posting those, and that's kind of where I started gaining traction.
When did this happen?
With the
when did you start?
I started my Instagram probably 2017, like October-ish. So, I've just been throwing up pictures whenever I get a chance to take them. Obviously, during this coronavirus pandemic, all events have pretty much been canceled or postponed. So not much going on that front. But yeah, that's mostly where I've gained traction or a following. And then also, meeting Philip Pepe's guys and riding with them. And so, yeah, it's mostly just been, most people that will know me through Instagram. And then through that avenue, and also I have a blog. I was able to start writing for Ride Apart, which is a online magazine publication for motorcycles, and that's where I'm able to test out riding gear or new motorcycles, and then write about my experiences based on that.
Do you market your social media, or how do you get followers, or is it just by the events and the posts you do?
Yeah, it's literally all organic. I don't use any I don't do any ads behind them or anything. It's mostly bikes. I actually tend not to use myself in the pictures as much as possible. Here and there, if I'm running low on stuff, I will. Just at least from my perspective, a lot of the reason why I'm on Instagram is for inspiration for my builds or to see what's going on in the motorcycle community. And truth be told, I care more about bikes. And so when I'm serving anyone that's following me, I try to keep that in context of like, they want to see a motorcycle. Kind of similar to what Mark Gama was saying for, Los Angeles Moto. He didn't want to be the face for it. He wants it to be more about community. And that's similar to what I'm looking to do for that page, at least. I don't see any particular sponsorships growing out of that. There aren't too many, companies trying to sell stuff for older bikes, for panheads or anything. So, it's really just because I enjoyed taking the photos and just like throwing them out there and recognizing a lot of the builders within this community. So. Yeah.
So lately you have turned a little bit the writing about motorcycles more into like a second job, right? So how did that start, and where do you see that going?
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone in LA has somewhat of a side hustle. We're all trying to grind and hustle our own sides and everything. But yeah, that's essentially what it is right now. My daytime job, I'm in film production. Full time, and then I write one article a day for Write Apart. That usually only takes up about 2 to 3 hours of my day, unless it is more of a review in the sense where I have a full week or a weekend reviewing a article of riding gear, or I'm lent a bike and I get to review it for a long time. There'll probably be times where I go to press events once those actually happen again. I was scheduled to do one before the coronavirus shutdown hit, and that obviously had to get canceled. But those will be getting back online eventually, and so I'll be attending those and being able to do ride events in that way. But over time, I see myself moving more into this in terms of writing full time. It's more that it's just going to be a career transition for me. So yeah, just very much trying to turn that passion into a career.
What and that's probably going to be the best results, changing into career and getting paid for something you like doing. What do you predict is going to happen with the coronavirus and all these events being canceled? Do you think everything's going to get rescheduled? Do you think if it continues getting pushed back, they're just going to do it for next year? Do you think they're just going to have 1 month that there's an event every single week? I mean, what's kind of your prediction, and what do you think is going to happen? Or what have you heard from certain events?
Right. I think if it's something that was like deeply in, like March or the April section, maybe even May, we'll probably just see them rescheduled for next year. I think something like we just saw with Born Free, where they got pushed to September, I think it was, right? From the usual slot that's June. I think they're just trying to proactively get ahead of any additional crackdowns that happen over this course, because it is so up in the air right now. I know we have here in California, we have a date of, I think, May 15th. But they've even said that could possibly push back. So I think if it is, continuous and it does continue, especially if it comes back in fall, we may see, an entire like season, like, AFT or American Flat Track, cancel, or even like MotoGP. I think they've done 3 of their events as virtual races thus far, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, like they're promoting their video game now because they can't actually get on the track. So yeah, it's different how each different sector of the motorcycling world is adapting to this. But I think it could, go for like, depending on how long it goes, it could reschedule whole seasons, kind of similar to what happened to the NBA this year. But yeah, I think more or less, because it is so unpredictable, I think, maybe 1 or 2, maybe Sturgis will stay just because it's out in August. And then hopefully, Born Free will stay, since it is September and it is kind of rounding out the summer. But I think, once fall comes around, everyone will start to have to reevaluate if they can still, do their thing or not. When it comes to something like Chopper Fest, which is in December in Ventura, that's like in the middle of flu season. Who knows if that'll even stay or not. So yeah, we'll definitely see. And then that's more on the local level. But when it comes to something, like the international level, like EICMA, I think BMW and KTM even pulled out of that show this year. Don't quote me. I think I need to check my source again or sightings, but even certain larger manufacturers are pulling out of big industry shows. So it's kind of pretty unpredictable where the whole industry is going after this, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's crazy times. I mean, it's weird. The year 2000 is pretty much just shut down for the coronavirus. I had a source that just called me up, and they said, they run some casinos in Vegas, and they had the May 15th date, and I just got a text today saying now it's May 31st. So
wow,
schools,
and that's just like at the drop of a dime.
Schools for kids that are in daycares and stuff like that, they said the state is closing them down until July 1st. So
the end of the school year.
Well, I know, but daycares is still it's year round, so they're still opening for now in July 1st.
Yeah, that's insane. I sent a message to the people I know at the casinos, and I texted them, "How's it feel to lose money, casinos?" Because they're always taking people's money. So
good one. Wait a minute.
How's it feel, Vegas? How's it feel?
I almost clicked the clapping button.
Yeah, no. It's definitely it's the unknown, and nobody at this point knows what's happening. I got some people saying in 2 months I'm going to fly back to this place because they were working remotely. We don't know if they're going to be able to fly. We don't know what's going to happen with these events. And once the events get started, we don't know how people are going to act. I mean, do you think that, in 6 months from now we're going to be
not even 6 months in September and Born Free? Are you going to touch anybody's hand?
Are you going to touch anybody? I mean, how's that whole experience going to be? It's going to be very strange.
Yeah, and see, that's like questions that all of us are asking too, right? It's like, is social distancing going to be a thing at that point? Still, are people going to be required to wear masks? Or gloves or whatnot.
Last year was enough. Last year was really hot in Born Free. I can't imagine wearing a mask and gloves in a public space down there in the middle of nowhere.
And I think Bill Gates already said, regardless if this lasts a month or 6 months, once it stops and everything opens up again, it's going to be 2 years minimum. They're saying of masks and social distancing.
Right.
So that.
Yeah, I think until we have like a vaccine or something, people won't be comfortable, because that's the whole thing too. It's like whether it's instituted or not, or mandated, there's also people's comfortability level, which needs to be taken into account too. So it's going to be a weird world for sure. I guess I want to pose the question to you guys, and I don't want to put you on the spot where we're just kind of shooting the shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess, what do you guys see for the motorcycle industry past this? I think we saw how someone or a company like Harley got destroyed after the Great Recession. This is a global pandemic. This is a global economic downslide. Where do you guys see the motorcycle industry going from here?
Well, the way that I see it is we're definitely a global economy, and if like in 2008, when the country it went bad with these bank loans and these foreclosures and everything else, it wasn't just the U.S. struggling; it was the whole world struggling. So I think nobody knows exactly what's going to happen afterwards, but as of right now, the motorcycle community, the car community, the restaurant community, bars, all these communities are going to suffer exactly the same. What do I think is going to happen once it opens up? I think it might be a little easier for bikes, because realistically, bikes and bikers, we already kind of practice social distancing without realizing it. We wear our helmets into stores, we wear our gloves, we pound fist. Maybe we won't hug each other as much. That's already happening now. When we go for our weekend rides, we do the little elbow hit or the fist pump. But how is it going to affect Daytona, or how's it going to affect, festivals? I mean, I guess they're just going to have to put half the capacity and make more space. And I guess we're going to, if we go to a show or a movie theater, you're going to have to skip 3 seats. I hate bringing up the casino thing, but I just know so many things about the casino thing. They're actually going to space out slot machines. They're going to space out and make bigger tables. So I think it's going to be temporary. I think we'll adapt quick. But I think, I mean, life's just going to continue no matter what happens. We're humans.
Yeah, we'll have to adapt to whatever it is.
We're going to adapt to whatever it is.
Yeah. Also, I know that motorcycle dealerships are actually open
Right
and
now.
just setting up appointments.
Yep.
And also, if you really want a motorcycle, nothing is really going to stop you from, being the one getting it first. And actually, right now, the concept, the concept that we have is that this is making better deals on motorcycles, even though you get there, and they have to make up for everything that you didn't sell in your sale.
Yep.
But
another thing, just to compare 2008 to what's going on now. Interesting enough, when 2008 crashed, I was at Van Nuys Harley Davidson at the time. We were still open, and interesting enough, I was getting different buyers than my regular. I want to buy a Harley and I want to do this. I was actually getting a husband and his wife with 2 kids. And I don't know what story the husband gave the wife, but they were convinced that if they buy a motorcycle, insurance would be cheaper, gas would be cheaper, service would be cheaper.
they could
It'd be cheaper
escape
than a
from
car.
apocalypse.
They can
with
escape
their
from apocalypse.
motorcycle.
And it was interesting. It was the most time that year or year and a half that I sold to a whole family, buying a bike, than the guy just coming to the dealership, or, a guy coming with his girlfriend. So it was interesting. And now I don't see anybody buying a motorcycle because they're stuck at home. So a person that's going to buy a motorcycle for the first time, they're probably going to delay that. But people that have been riding and want to get that second bike, or the people that want to do trade-ins, or the people that want to get a super deal, I don't see anything stopping them. I agree with Jaime on that point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because people that are established in riding, they're going to see that the deals are going to be happening right now too. People are trying to move units because new riders aren't coming in. So I'm sure that there'll be some sort of deals happening over this course.
And also the amount of people that usually buys motorcycles that are not 100% ready, but they usually finance, they're right now in a worse economical or financial moment than to just risk what they have to put a down payment or something like that. So yeah, it's
a very difficult situation, and I mean it's very unfortunate for the manufacturers, for the dealerships. Most dealerships are franchise owned, but I mean, again, we're all dealing with this one way or another. Just, I guess the point is, we hope it ends quick.
So one
no,
question.
for sure, and I love. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
I was just thinking on how was your experience picking up that Suzuki that you're loaning right now?
Yeah, how did that come about?
Right.
What was the process?
So they reached out to my editor. They have a well-established, relationship with my editor over the years that he's been working at Ride Apart. And they actually don't have any other, Southern California correspondents. We're all spread out throughout America, and then also Canada. So it's a very remote job. We kind of just, ride on our own and send it in to our editor, and he takes care of whatever, changes need to be taken care of. But he reached out to me saying, "Hey, Suzuki wants us to write some pieces on this. Here's the contact, and you talk to her, and you work out a day that you can go and pick up the bike." And so, I just talked to the Suzuki rep. We figured out a date and time that works for both of us. With the coronavirus again, it totally changes that process. Because, I had to make sure I showed up in gloves and a mask, like they make sure that they mandated that. And then, I had to go around the side of the building and pick it up from the garage. And, they had to keep their social distance, and, kind of tell me certain things about the bike from afar. Like, oh, hey, here's the cruise control button. Here's the, ride mode button. Here's what you need to, here's the key. You just turn it on here. It's a quick start type thing. So it was pretty brief. But again, it was impacted by kind of the current state that we're in. But other than that, once I talked to them probably for 2 to 3 minutes. and then they gave me the keys and I took off.
That is very brief.
So it's kind of crazy. They even sent me like the press, documents and presentations that they usually will deliver to you when you're at kind of these like press events. They just sent it to my email. So, usually there's a lot of like pomp and circumstance behind this. You like go in and have lunch or breakfast, depending on the time of the day, whenever they hold these, press launches. And then, they give you the whole corporate speak spiel, and then you go out and ride them, and then you go and write your, article. But for this one, they pretty much just shot it over to me. I kind of read it and glanced over it and gleaned it for some, kind of those, hot topic words that you do when you're like, applying somewhere and you see what's in the, job listing and shit like that. And then from there, I just went and rode the bike as much as I could, wrote like my initial, reactions to it. And now I'll just be doing like different pieces throughout this entire, 3 months that I have it. So probably just splitting it up into, twisties riding, 2-up riding,
3 months, huh?
long distance. Yeah, 3 months. So I'm just trying to put.
So real quick obviously we don't have this on video, but when you said 3 months, Jaime and I looked at each other and we smiled like, wow, that must be
nice, man. Yeah, because also if you don't have an adventure bike, the doors that opens you is amazing.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm just trying to milk it as much as I can. Even my girlfriend was saying we should take this thing out as much as possible. So we'll probably be doing a fair share of 2-upping, and then I'll probably be trying to carve as many canyons and also try to get out and some dirt. Obviously it's a pretty big bike, and I know you guys know what it's like to ride a big 1200 or 1000 cc to 1200 cc bike on dirt. But yeah, I want to put it through its paces and try out everything on it. So.
Yeah, maybe we should meet up and go out. We went out to Gorman.
Yeah.
We went out to Gorman.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yeah,
yep.
and it was, the sand was super soft. I obviously have road tires. I ate shit 3 times. It was fun.
Yeah.
He says it before I say it.
It was terrible picking up the bike, and it was terrible, getting off from the dirt, but it was very fun.
Really fun.
And the next thing I want to do is I got the gold spoke wheels. I want to get the black spoked ones and then add the street tires on that and use the gold ones for street tire or dirt bike tires. So I thought I could just switch it off easy. But we should definitely plan a ride.
That's a 2-for-1.
Is there any restrictions on riding the bike? Is there any restrictions like keep it under certain RPMs, keep it under a certain speed limit, or it's do whatever the fuck you want?
The only thing that they really said was don't race the thing. Like, don't take it to a track day and race it. I actually wanted to try and take it to a track day if possible, but I think they said don't race it. And so I'm just going to equate that to don't take it to the track.
Well, racing,
but aside from that,
racing means that there gotta be competition, right? If you race on your own, it's not really a race, right?
Right.
So you can break the rules, right? Bend the rules, not break them.
Maybe, yeah.
But there's no restrictions on going off road or anything.
No. I think they're totally down for that. I was even thinking of doing one of the backcountry roads. What is it? The backcountry BDR routes. There's a bunch of those where they're throughout like 10 different states in America. And they have, like established routes for adventure riders to go on. I think ours in California goes all the way from, like central California all the way down to like Mexicali. So it's,
that'd be a nice ride.
Yeah. It's
what's the time on that?
through like Mojave and everything. What's up?
What's the time on that? How long would it take to do?
Oh, it would definitely take a few days. They have like different checkpoints. I'm not sure, what the number of hours of duration between those checkpoints is. But I know that would take a few days just because, it's dirt. You're going to be, riding with bigger bikes and whatnot. So it's more along the lines of like, you're going to be camping out there, and, going into these smaller kind of backcountry type of, cities, or I'm sorry, not cities, but towns, like small towns. That's what they actually do a lot of it for. So they want to promote kind of like smaller town economies. So they kind of set the route along a lot of those spots where you can stop at like a little diner and whatnot, or a little grocery store and grab some stuff. So, it's a pretty cool, organization and whatnot, and they're all nonprofit and everything. They work off of donations completely. So, I definitely recommend checking them out. For all those adventure listeners out there.
Yeah. What's the name? Do you know the website?
Yeah, it's BDR.com. Let me just make sure.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, it's awesome. It sounds like a great time. A bunch of stuff.
It sounds like a great time. It sounds like a great experience. It sounds like a good way to develop better skills and performance. I mean,
so Dustin, if you didn't have any motorcycles right now,
right.
You don't have your Harley, you don't have your Suzuki DRC, right?
Yep.
Which one? What motorcycle would you start with right now? Knowing that you've tried adventure, Harleys, supermoto, what would you get?
That's a fucking great question, man. I love that you said that. Just because I think a lot of us, think of that as well. Like, shit, if I knew what I knew when I started,
exactly.
It would be so much different. Right now, I think what I'm looking at is there's the new Tenere 700, which is, Yamaha's adventure bike. Yeah, that should be coming out here this year. It's already been out in like Australia and Europe for a year now, but, I'm looking at between that and also the Husqvarna 701. So I would love to do something similar to, what you guys are saying, making two bikes out of one, put street tires on, or street wheels on one of them, put dirt wheels on the other one, and just swap them out whenever I'm doing what it is that I want to do. I think that would be the most ideal thing, out of the whole situation, because living in the city,
have you tried the KTM 790 Adventure?
I haven't. No, I want to. That one, I know that one competes very closely.
I think you will, bro. It's incredible. It's I've never tried it, but every single. Well, my father is obsessed with it, and every single video I see of it is like, it reveals a new data that is for me mind blowing. It's a 790. 790cc motorcycle. The tops speed at 135 miles an hour, and moves in the dirt like if it was a dirt bike. It's incredible. But also it has the gas tank in the lower part of the engine.
I love that part.
Instead of the top, and it makes it feel like a super solid bike when you're in the highway. So all the data seems like it's the perfect bike. I haven't tried it yet. I really want to rent it and ride it though.
We should definitely rent one and then take it out for a spin.
You know what you guys really need to do this. Go to, and sorry, I'm correcting myself from before. It's actually ridebdr.com. So RIDE. Yeah, ridebdr.com. They're actually doing a giveaway of a 790 if you donate to the organization. I think it's like $25 and $50.
For sure.
Increments of that. They're giving like a full decked out version of that with Works WP suspension and everything. It kind of just brings it back to that. I think that's where I see the adventure kind of category kind of pushing as well too, for a lot of the older guys that are somewhat aging out, that want to get off of their, 1250s or 1200, BMWs, or even their, KTM super adventures, is going to like a mid-weight kind of, adventure bike just because they can handle it better, Obviously we're, strong, healthy guys, but a lot of the older guys that have been motorcycling for years, I'm seeing them kind of push back in terms of their capacity. So,
have you ridden the Honda Africa?
The Africa Twin?
The Africa Twin?
I have not. No, that's one that I want to check out too, for sure. With that new 1100 motor,
and the automatic shifting is ridiculous.
Yeah. There's truly like no bad bike on the market, like even if you find certain things, you're really just kind of picking at what something else does better. More or less, like, bikes have come so far along that, it's really hard to be like, no, I wouldn't ride this bike. I've only really experienced that on like, a handful of bikes or question like, no, I don't think I'll ever get on that again. But
Well,
I don't know. There's something usually that's fun.
Clearly, the adventure bikes are taking a big a big cut of the industry. If Harley Davidson decided to make one, it's a weird
Right.
move that you think that if only it's not about fear of getting eaten by them, you wouldn't release
Yep.
an adventure bike.
Oh no, that's one of the only right. That's one of the only growing segments in the industry right now. And, on Ride Apart, that's actually our biggest audience. We cater a lot of the content to them. So we're writing a lot about, the Tenere 700 or the, KTM 790 adventures and whatnot. So, it makes sense for Harley to go into that realm. It's more or less whether they can actually compete price wise. That's what we've seen Harley kind of shoot themselves in the foot with is the pricing. And now if they're going to be going into these markets where there's already established players, it's going to be hard unless they offer a far superior product for them to keep the prices that they've usually been, placing on the newer stuff. So,
and not only that, but maybe just maybe they're doing too much. They just brought out the live wire. Maybe they should just work on the live wire for, a few more years,
right.
Get it, better performance, get it at a better price. And once they master that, then they should introduce another type of bike. But I think I had a conversation with a person that sells a lot of parts and accessories to the Harley dealerships to resell. And they were telling me that the dealership owners are not that happy with Harley because Harley's making a lot of decisions to make the stockholders happy, not the franchise holders happy. So, for example, like there's Harley Davidson just opened up their own Amazon store. That's taking away business from all the dealerships. Same thing. The live wire, they're making the bike. They're showing it's an electric bike. They're putting a $33,000 price tag or $30,000 plus price tag. The stockholders see, oh, that's awesome. The franchise owners, they have to allocate certain bikes and they're forced to buy them. So now because they're forced to pay for them, or they're being floored, like a dealer loan, they're being floored. Right. The stockholders see, oh, wow, Harley introduced another bike. The dealerships are buying it. Good. It sells. Stocks are going up, even though now stocks are going down for everybody. But I think Harley's doing too much. They're not paying attention to the franchise owners or the riders. And I think that's the problem. And I think that's why not only the coronavirus and everything that's taking place, but I think that's why Harley's also is not being valuized as much as it should be.
Well, I think there's a lot of people waiting for those the Pan America and the Street Fighter. And I think that according to the people we've talked about from Harley Davidson, at least the Pan America is going to be a pretty good competition price-wise to the BMW 1250 GSs.
Have they released prices or?
No, they haven't, but they said that there's going to be kind of at the same price, which is fair, but how these guys from BMW already have all the,
incentives.
Yeah, all the incentives. They're really well established as a tank. You can't break that. So I don't know if they're gonna really compete, even if they have the same price.
What were you gonna say, Dustin?
Well, for you guys, I just wanted to pose that question too. If it were competitively priced, you guys are both two GS owners. Do you guys feel at all like you would want to try that out, or would you even be tempted to go back to Harley and ride the adventure bike that they put out?
I would definitely like to try out anything that comes new from Harley, but would I want to purchase a first generation anything? No, I wouldn't want to try a first generation drone. We were just talking about the DJI drones. I don't like first generations. I wouldn't want to try a first generation car, motorcycle, or anything because there's kinks, especially when it's a completely new model.
Completely new engine and everything that they've done is completely different.
Yeah, and I don't think there's been one company that has been. I mean, forget Tesla. Forget trying to be. No, Tesla had a lot of flaws in the beginning. They had definitely a lot of flaws, and they've upgraded. Would you want to buy one of the original Teslas, or would you want to buy the newer Tesla?
Yeah, the newer for sure.
Of course. But I don't. even cars or motorcycles that exist now, they still get recalls, and these are a lot of the same models. So I don't think there's a interest right away. I would never, even if the Livewire was a better price, I think I would still hold off. And same thing with this new adventure bike, the Pan America, right?
Yeah. Well, there's actually one product that it did work perfectly from the beginning.
Which
There's
one?
There's one, and you love it. And you know you love it, and you're excited to get a new one. It's a Prius. The Prius worked out from the beginning.
The Prius is the biggest POS. It is. They spent more time polluting, mining for the source of the battery than the energy it saves. And for the price range that they sell it at compared to a Honda Civic or a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry, whatever the case is, that difference that you pay, you got to drive it for 7 years. You got to drive it for 7 years before you break even on that price.
Robert's gonna start
Sorry,
a campaign.
Prius drivers, but I can't stand them.
Robert's going to start a campaign.
I'm going to start the Ride Boundless Fuck Prius campaign. What do you think, Dustin? You with me?
Well, no. I love that you guys said that too. I love that was been like a running thread because I don't own a car at all. I only own bikes.
Man.
But when no, hold on before but my girlfriend has a Prius, so when I'm driving, that's just a Prius.
But don't you? I don't even want to say it. I'm good. God bless her heart.
This episode doesn't have to be released. It's okay.
You know what throws me off is that I've known Jaime for almost 3 years, and you know, Harleys and Dynas, and we rent bikes from Eagle Riders, and we go every weekend. One day he just shows up with the Prius, and it didn't make sense. It's too different. And then another time I got in the car with him and he turns into a Prius driver.
Oh man.
He brakes awkwardly, he accelerates awkwardly, turn signals don't work all of a sudden.
I've never put a turn signal on. You know that. And not in the motorcycles, not in the cars. So why would I do that? I make clear
a true Prius rider.
I make clear where my direction is gonna be. That's a personal thing.
I'm with you, Jaime, though. Like when I get in that thing, I'm super slow with it. I don't, I just relax.
Well,
I'm not nearly as.
Robert doesn't know that. Robert doesn't know that the car has 3 modes, and 2 of them are really slow.
Right.
And there was like the crazy mode, right?
Yeah.
So I go slow to slower.
The like throttle response on that thing. I mean, obviously it's not the same thing, but yeah, it's ridiculous. You pound your foot down and it moves like 3 seconds later. So. You kind of have no choice when it comes to just being relaxed in a Prius because it's already baked into it.
And I love Family Guy, and I love how Brian drives a Prius. It's the dog. To me, it's so funny. It's typical. And then he's a Democrat, and he's a left wing, and he doesn't no firearms, no hunting, no this, no that. It's hilarious, except for the drinking and the cigar and the Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra songs he does.
So going back to what I asked you, so you don't have your Harley, you don't have your Suzuki, and you're not borrowing bikes from anybody. So you will get a Yamaha Tenere, and that's it. That's where you would have stopped.
Either that or that Husqvarna 701. Right now I'm between the two because I'm trying to do 2 bikes in one type thing. But yeah, for me, like I think I took a dirt course like a year back, and then I also did SoCal Supermoto. And after that, man, just trying out bikes that are way lighter and that can actually get into the dirt and really mix shit up and, throw some rooster tails out there. It's like, that's just the shit that I want to do more than, like doing long distance right now. I think, with the Harley and whatnot, you get a great touring bike, that you can really go far on. You can camp off of it. But, there's just, I think there's just so much to explore when it comes to motorcycles. So many different styles, so many different segments. So, once I've felt that I've learned enough for a certain segment, I just want to kind of like move on and try everything. So I think that's my current kick, but
why would you pick the Husqvarna 701 instead of the KTM 690? Because that is one of the questions that I have in mind, because I really want to buy a supermoto, and everybody has told me that it's basically the same engine, but there's a lot more parts and aftermarket stuff for the KTM 690.
Right. I think I would just want that for the track. When it comes between the two, I think for me, when it comes between the Husqvarna and the KTM, it's just more aesthetic. I'm more of a fan of the like more simple, white type of aesthetic that Husqvarna has and kind of the lineage of that brand. Versus, KTM, obviously they're all made by KTM. But for me, I think I just like that aesthetic that Husqvarna has more. And then when it's versus the Tenere, with the Tenere, it is an adventure bike. It is heavier, and I don't know if I'd be able to convert wheels. Like, it'd be great if I could just take some MT-07 wheels and throw it onto that, since they're cousins in the sense of they share the same, motor. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure if that would, I haven't explored the ease of conversion for that. So it's more or less me trying to do both dirt and track. And then obviously a little bit of street riding here and there. But mostly so that I can just do, two completely separate activities, and keep the same bike to do it all on.
I think we have to take you to, our buddy Jeff at, BMW of Riverside. And you should try the BMW that our friend Donnie has, the 850 GS, because I think you will be in love with that.
I actually rode the 800 in Scotland when I went out there. That's what I rented from them. Yeah, I went to Scotland this past July. So
how was that? What were you doing out there?
In 2019. Oh, I was out there for my girlfriend's friend's wedding, and so. As we're, flying out there, I'm already under the impression that, I'm invited to the wedding just because I'm her boyfriend. She tells me, hey, you're not like, they don't have enough seats. So is it okay if you don't go to the wedding? I'm like, fuck yeah, that's okay. I don't go to the wedding. I'm going to rent a bike that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm in fucking Scotland. I'm sorry. Like, I'm getting a bike that day. So I end up, reserving the bike. Got it locked down and everything. They tell me as we're like taking off, my girlfriend says, oh, hey, they actually have space now. And I'm like, nope, sorry.
I'm not second plate. I'm not second plate of anybody.
I don't want nobody's leftovers.
Exactly. So yeah.
Man, my word, I committed to my writing. Fuck this.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, just explored the countryside there, and that shit was just awesome, dude. Like I didn't get to try all of the gnarlier stuff like in the northern section of the country. But even just getting out on the countryside, it's fucking awesome. It's just, there's green everywhere. There's sheep, all over the place. Yeah, it's just, I definitely recommend, if you're doing any international traveling, just getting on a bike wherever you are.
I think the next one that we're going to do, we need to, my father and my family are like super excited for
Spain,
us to,
right?
yeah, we have to do a Los Pepes Spain trip.
Yeah.
Nice. That'd be perfect.
We were definitely talking about that. No, I try to ride everywhere I go. I did a scooter in Italy. I did a GS in France.
Damn.
I did a Suzuki long time ago in Mexico. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's it in my country.
Did you do Baja when you went to Mexico? Did you go off-road?
No. This was a long time ago. I used to, in my early 20s, I used to do 10 cells and car events. And a buddy of mine had an apartment on Playa de Tijuana. So it's past the border. It's on the beach side.
Is that food or?
Playa de Tijuana, beach of TJ. And, we would just go over there. He had a couple motorcycles. We would ride, to the local bars and, get out there and just simple stuff. But I didn't do Baja.
Yep.
I am talking to Eagle Riders. And I know they set up, little tour trips to Baja. So that's something I'm planning to do, hopefully within the next 12 months.
You mean we?
We.
Oh,
we. As French, yes. No, we absolutely, we're trying to make a plan out of this, but definitely Baja's been, on the bucket list for a while.
Nice.
Quick question.
When you guys do the,
no, please. When we do what?
Oh, I was going to say, when you guys do the Baja trip, are you going to be taking GSs from Eagle Rider?
More than likely. I do. I love a good ride. I love riding far, but nothing sounds better than riding to Baja, dropping off a bike and taking a flight back. That's just my mentality.
Yeah, and long distance for sure at GS.
Yep.
I don't think.
No, GS for sure, but yeah, definitely rented.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to take mine. Not yet.
especially crossing to Mexico and stuff.
Yeah,
we love them too much.
And then all of a sudden, I don't have the Mexican insurance, and then it's just bad news. I think that's definitely the right move. You ride there. Once you get there, get a hotel, stay out there for 3-4 days, take a flight, done. Now, my question to you was, at what age did you get into riding? Do you come from a riding family? And what was your first few bikes, and how did that come out?
Yeah. So, I just got into motorcycles, 3 years ago now? Like April of 2017.
Jaime's face.
So I was
Jaime's eyes, face, everything opened up, his jaw opened up. That's awesome.
I mean, it's a big thing. From 3 years ago to now being riding about motorcycles and knowing as much as you know.
Right.
That's why we decided to bring you over, because you know a lot about it.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to like immerse myself as much as possible. Like even before you guys gave me a ring, I was watching fucking review videos. It's like just all consuming pretty much. But yeah, so I started when I was 28. And I was on a Sportster, kind of in that club with you guys. And so I was on an 883 for about a year. And then it was almost exactly a year, actually. Rode that thing fucking into the ground. Probably put on over 10,000 in that 1 year. Went up to, Yosemite on that. Went over to a Raiders game in Oakland on that. So just rode the hell out of that thing. Even, had my first accident on that thing. So, or actually my only accident so far, knock on wood. But, so yeah, it was a great experience on that. And then, like we all do, we get kind of, anxious for a bit more power. And also we want to be told that we're not on a girl's bike anymore. So moved up to the big twin, got a Softail, the new 18s. And so just, pretty much tricked that thing out as much as I possibly could.
Was that the 114 or the 107?
107.
Just the 107.
Why did you decide to turn your new Softail into something that looks older or classic?
So I like the chopper style. Like that's just something that I gravitate to more. But I love the like performance, oriented, club style build, like just the purpose built version of it, like taller T-bars, you can control, you have much more leverage than, the buckhorn bars that they give you on the lowrider. And then, just overall that like clean aesthetic, trying to pair that, with the, performance of these new 18s and also just, the club style, performance too. So trying to like meld both schools of Harleys, the past and the current, with that build. So that's more of what I was looking for. And then I also was just really tired of everything being blacked out with my iron. It was obviously, all blacked out on everything. So, when I went to the Softail, I wanted to go more like metal tones and whatnot. So that's why I
think you were actually the first one of doing your version of the, light mode, club style. And right now, everybody's
What do you mean light mode?
Yeah, so everybody's doing the club style that is blacked out.
Right.
And I think the first one that did like chromed, and lighter colors,
lighter
the same
colors.
version. I call it light mode, like in the iPhone. That you have dark mode and light mode.
I guess we all get that.
Chris
you
now
better trademark that shit.
Yeah. Chris went in that direction.
Light
now.
mode, dark mode.
Jarek went in that direction also now. So now people are just getting tired of the blackout version and they're going light mode. But I think that you were the first one that I've seen doing something successful with that. Because even your paint job that looks like just brushed steel, right? It's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I was just tired of the black steel and like, so many Harley riders have that all blacked out look. So I was like, I want to just try something different, but that's what it ended up, turning out to be. So I was pretty happy with it. Obviously they never really end. So, looking at, what's next, but for the time being, I think it's good. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But going back to when you started riding, what was it that got you into it? What you spent? How old are you?
Yeah. I'm 31.
Okay, you're 31, so you went roughly 27, 28 years without riding a motorcycle, and then all of a sudden you're like, I want a Sportster.
Right.
Where did that come from?
When I was 25, I actually remember that's when I first started looking for a bike. Actually, 24, 25-ish. I started looking for a bike, and I wanted it to be a Harley because at that time, I was, trying to buy as much American made as possible. And I still try. It's just, it's fucking hard to buy American made everything.
It's expensive too.
It's expensive, but then they also just don't make certain shit here. So
not anymore.
It's like, there's just, yeah, exactly. So it's not that easy. But back then I was looking at actually the, what is now the street, like the street 500 and 700, just because those were actually coming out around that time in like 2014-ish, 2013, 14-ish. And so that's what I actually had my eyes on first. It wasn't the right time in my life. I just liked the idea of having a motorcycle. I didn't have the money for it. And then, when I was 28, I, worked up enough money for it. And then also a friend of mine, got into motorcycling. And so, just having a buddy go along with that same experience as you, it's super reinforcing. It helps so much. And then once we both got our, licenses, we did our long trips, and that's very much like what we wanted to do, and why I bought a Harley for the, for the long haul. It's more for those long distance travels. I initially was looking, after I turned 28, I wasn't as much like a zealot of buying everything American made. So I was actually looking at a Triumph when I first started re-looking at buying bikes at 28. And, I had a Triumph in mind. And then, a few people had told me, after a little while, your wrists are going to hurt. You're not going to want to ride long distance. And so that's what really pushed me toward Harley was, just the fact that I could go camping off the fucking thing and ride it into the ground. So, that's definitely, yeah, right. So,
did you take any riding courses? Did you take any riding courses or any classes before, or you just kind of said fuck it and?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah. I just took the MSF. I took the MSF really quickly. It was like a 2-day thing, and then took the written test and had it pretty quickly. So yeah, it was a pretty smooth thing. But other than that, I had never been on a bike before. I had actually never even driven clutch. So, just learning clutch from a fucking motorcycle too, all at once and going from there. So,
well that's an interesting question. At your age, have you, I mean, it's so weird. I mean, we're all kind of similar age, but the, 7-8 years changes a lot of things. Have you driven stick shift before?
Completely.
In a car?
Not successfully.
They don't make Priuses.
I've always.
They don't
exactly. No, I've never actually owned a Prius, but yeah, that's all I drive now. But no, I had never learned formally how to drive a stick. Like my dad had taught me here and there because he drove stick, but I had never gotten it down to the point where I could just go and buy a stick car. I had always actually owned like bigger trucks before, buying a motorcycle. So, those are usually just your automatics. So, a lot of my car driving is very much like just cruising and kicking back. Whereas, when I'm on a motorcycle, I think all three of us, we like, going fast as much as possible. So
right, our whole mentality, our whole mind switches, on and stick shift and not stick shift, but shifting, clutch, brake, gas. Okay, got down speed, go faster. And obviously, the more comfortable the bike feels, the more we're going to be riding faster and acting out. But we got to be careful
for sure.
We ride boundless.
Yeah.
No, but I find it interesting that there are some people, I mean, there's so much shit that's fucking interesting right now that crosses my mind. I find it interesting that there will be people right now that will never know what it is to drive a stick shift. Like that to me is,
right.
Very impressive. And then it's even more interesting to think that in about 10 years, we won't even be driving. I think that we'll have the self-driving cars And I think that they'll get so good that, the only way you can drive your own car is if you have like some super expensive premium insurance, and that's it. And otherwise, nobody's even going to want to drive their own car, which I find strange.
Yep.
But as time goes by, I realize maybe we shouldn't even be driving cars, because there's a lot of dick shits and people not paying attention and
Yep.
on their cell phone, and
Yeah.
social media, and stopped at a red light, or just, there's accidents every day because of, driver error.
Yep. Yeah, I got to save some people from themselves and whatnot. But yeah, no, I'm with you too. It seems like it's all moving toward, that like automation and whatnot. And then, like, I bet there'll be a point where, future civilizations will look at us like, I can't believe they ran on fossil fuels. But, trying to enjoy it as much as we got it now.
Yeah, as much as possible. So, yeah. And then the last question: where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What are your goals and accomplishments you're trying to do?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to continue with Write Apart. For now, like in 5 years, I do see myself writing full time. Possibly at another publication. We'll see, where that goes and whatnot. But yeah, just trying to immerse myself further in this and make it a career. Like I was saying, it's going to be a transition. Especially right now with all the challenges that are going on with the coronavirus and whatnot. But yeah, that's at least my long-term goal and what I project for myself is, just continuing in this arena and just hopefully building. So.
That's awesome, because you're pretty much 90% or 80% doing what you want to do. So, and you want to continue it. So that's awesome. Dustin, where can we find you online? Where can we find your social media, Twitter, email, whatever you want to get out, your blog?
Yeah, my blog, I don't actually keep up too often anymore, just because, writing for the magazine is what I wanted to do with it anyway. So, but you can find me at freewheelen _ on Instagram, and then you can find anything I write on writeapart.com. But yeah, you'll probably just see me riding around LA too, riding with the Los Pepes crew as well. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you once again for being on the podcast. We'll definitely see you on the road, hopefully this weekend, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Cool. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Dustin. You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's it for this episode. Thank you so very much for listening. If you liked it, please make sure to subscribe.